War Eagle, War Report family. I'm your host, C-Dub, and we have a lot to discuss today. We'll cover some football news, but we're going to spend a lot of time reviewing Auburn's close win over rival Georgia on yesterday. We'll talk about that, look ahead to their matchup coming this Tuesday against Arkansas, as well as discuss what did we see last week across the SEC and sports. So, guys, you definitely want to hang around and check that out. But for now, sit back, get your weight up because your weekend tailgate starts right now.
You are now listening to a War Report Weekend Tailgate, brought to you by University Ace Hardware. It's your boy, I Jones. Be Will, C-Dog, Mike G. Get ready, sit on back as we bring you the War Report Weekend Tailgate.
War Eagle, everyone. War Eagle. Happy Sunday. Hope you guys are enjoying your weekend. Welcome to the latest weekend tailgate brought to you by our show sponsor, University Ace Hardware. For your hardware needs, Ace is the place. We appreciate those guys for being big supporters of the War Report. And if you want to help us, guys, support those who support us. So if you're in the Auburn area, please be sure to stop by 2101 East University Drive. Buy a screwdriver, buy something, some gum, whatever they sell, support them. Let them know that your friends at the War Report sent you. Also, we want to shout out those of you who are watching us, whether it's live or on replay. Do us a favor. If you're on social media, share this video, help people to find our content, and help us to continue to grow our community. We've been growing very strong over the past several weeks. We appreciate that. We hope to continue that because we have a lot of great content coming for you guys. As a matter of fact, Ike is going to talk about what you can expect if you are a patron of the War Report.
Yeah, absolutely. So listen, man, if you don't know already, we got these memberships that you can be a part of. So why not do it? All right, listen, it's February. I've been promising we about to start hitting y'all with some of this content that I've been trying to cook up. So this is the time to jump on with the patron memberships. And we do have special situations like Friday where the chat's only going to be for members. So if there are things that we need to talk about, we're going to discuss those as a family. So just know that there are going to be certain times we're going to be shutting the chat down. There are going to be certain times where we're going to have players on and things like that. And those are going to be members only chats. So you need to become a member because as the off season gets here, those things are going to start to amplify. It's harder to get those people on during the season. So off season is when we start ramping a lot of that content up. You're going to want to be a part of that. $5.99 gets you there. Outside of that, you already know we're supporting the Lee County Humane Society. So go ahead and make a donation there. 50% on or 50 cents on every dollar is going towards the Lee County Humane Society with that. We, as always, are giving away stuff. Today, it's going to be a T-shirt. It's not, if you're not in the South, then you won't appreciate the fact that you could still wear a T-shirt right now. But for those of us in the South, T-shirts are actually still okay. You throw a jacket on over the top, you'll be all right. But it's going to be Lobtown because it is basketball season. So we got the Lobtown T-shirt that's going to be available today. Hashtag get your weight up in the comments to be entered into that drawing. Outside of that, we'll talk about some more stuff later, but that's going to be it for right now, man. But hey, listen, it's a great time to be a part of the War Report family and the Auburn family as a whole.
Definitely. And guys, we appreciate you again hanging out with us. We got a lot to talk about, so we're not going to waste time. Let's go ahead and get into it. We have basketball talk, but we're going to talk about a little bit of football because it's still buzzing what's been happening as it pertains to the current future and state of Brian Harson and this football program moving forward. We had it live on Friday, which we spent a lot of time just chopping it up, just giving our thoughts.
Yeah.
Our thoughts about that, while raw and new at the moment, have not changed. Okay, which is why this conversation is going to be a little different today. I know you guys kind of want to ask us questions, but our thoughts for the most part haven't changed. Now, as time goes on, I think we can all agree it doesn't look good for Brian Harson. but our opinions about everything that's come out, the way it's happened, has not changed. I'm going to refer a lot to the video we did on Friday for those types of conversations. It's 2 hours worth. Okay. Anything you want to know about how we feel can be found on that video. If you super chat us, I'm going to read your super chat. I'm going to thank you because, as my grandmother told me, people don't have to give you anything. I will thank you and then proceed to direct you back to that live video on Friday. Okay. So don't get upset. You've been warned about that. What I want to do is just talk about a few questions because an ESPN article was released that was pretty intensive, pretty descriptive about some of the things we did talk about on Friday, some of the things that a lot of Auburn fans have been aware of. And it's pretty damning, I must say. It's been a PR nightmare, I should say, for this university, for the players involved, coaches involved, families involved, the fans. It's been a tough few days for us. And regardless of whether or not you feel about this, about where things are going, we can all agree that this just is not a good perception for Auburn nationally. We'll get to some of the statements that we have. Actually, I'll read a couple for you. Basically, there was a statement by Jay Googe saying that the university is moving quickly to make the appropriate decision on Harson's future. Another statement by Googe is that the school is trying to separate fact from fiction. That's in regards to the rumors and speculation in terms of what has happened under Harson's tenure. Harson was asked in the ESPN article, basically he's pushed back. He says, all I can tell you is that nothing has changed with me. We're working toward getting this program where we all want it to be. And that's where my focus is going to remain until I'm told otherwise. If somebody's out there trying to create a narrative for their own interest, I can't control that. Also, another statement that we'll actually put up. B, go ahead and put the first one up. This kind of highlights where I want to go with my question. In this particular section of the ESPN article, it says the decision on Harson's future is expected to come within days from university leadership, not athletic leadership, sources have told ESPN. When athletic director Alan Green hired Harson, the move was viewed as a win for the athletic department, fending off board and booster influence. That power dynamic appears to have shifted, similar to what occurred with the firing of Gus Malzahn in December of 2020. A decision, sources said, came from outside the athletic department. Quoted here, Auburn is always going through transition in leadership, said an industry source familiar with the school's inner workings. Therefore, there's no way ever to ever tell who's in control. Go ahead and read the second one, B, and I'll go ahead and get to this question. I think that's the same one there.
All right, so
it
is okay. So I've read them all. So my question
this is the second one. So another source.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, go ahead.
Another source told ESPN that Harson grew frustrated after the season when trying to get contract numbers finalized for assistant coaches he wanted to hire, and administration officials wouldn't give him any answers on what he could pay or the structure of those deals. Harson even requested to meet with the board of trustees to address the salary pool questions, but Googe said that wouldn't be a good idea, a source said. Harson's hands were tied, the source said. It's the head coach's job to hire assistants, and there were no answers from anyone. All right. So my question here, I got two-part questions because I do want to point to some things that talked about Harson as a coach. But let's just talk about the perception of Auburn University nationally. We've known for years, decades, that there's been a power struggle as it pertains to our football program, right? It's also known in coaching circles. Brent Venables, when he was in his introductory press conference as Oklahoma's head coach, spoke about very briefly about the situation in Auburn because he was believed to be contacted. He was a candidate for the head coaching job after Gus Malzahn was fired. He was then the DC at Clemson, and he spoke to some of this power struggle or some of this situations going on at Auburn. So coaches were aware of it as well. But now it seems like everybody knows about it. What does Auburn do moving forward? Regardless of whether you or what side of the fence you're on, whether you think Harson should go or you support Harson, moving forward, how does Auburn address this negative reputation it has garnered because of its actions as of late? Either one of you guys can jump in.
I mean, so I'll say a brief piece about this. And again, I've said a lot about how I feel about the situation. Honestly, the answer is I don't know where the university goes. At some point in time, if this article is truth, right? Like, so there's a source that says, if there's any truth to the idea that decisions about what happens with the athletic department are coming from outside of the athletic department, that's a problem. You hire an athletic director to manage your athletic programs. If you're not going to let the athletic director handle the athletic programs, then why are you hiring an athletic director? If it's going to be somebody in name only, then that's senseless. That's a waste of money just to have someone in a title that you aren't going to let do the job, number one. And then when it comes to coaching a football program, if that coach is asking for resources to make sure that he can implement the plan that he wants, and you refuse to do that, then why are you hiring a football coach? If you want to be a football coach, coach football. If you want to be a booster on the board of trustees for the university, then do that. But you can't be the athletic director and the booster and the board of trustee member and the head coach of the football program, et cetera, and run whatever business it is that keeps you profitable. Decide what you want to do with your life and do that. But all of this extra stuff that you're deciding that your money affords you the opportunity and voice in is crap. Support the programs that are in place or move your support elsewhere. And that's coming from somebody who I can't replace the dollars they're putting in, right? So I'm not saying, well, I'll step up and do it. But what I am saying is it's not working. And if it's not clear to you who is doing the puppetry that it's not working, then I question what you're seeing that works, because it's a repeated cycle of decades of ineptitude. And you can't be upset at a coach for 1 year of what you perceive ineptitude when you've been bad at what you're doing for decades. There seems to be a dichotomy here where you feel as if your ineptitude is okay to continue, and well, this coach ain't getting it done. He's been here a solid 12 months and we're not national title contenders. You are terrible at your job. Terrible. And it's ridiculous at this point. And at this point, I'm questioning any person who stands in alignment with that ideal as something that we should continue to do. Any person, I don't care who you are. It makes absolutely no sense, because people are parroting this idea that Brian Harson has made people who matter upset. The only person he should be worrying about upsetting are the players that are on that field, the staff that is in that building, and his boss, who is the athletic director. Everybody else should have no say in this.
Right. And even some players are some players. B?
Yeah, I think Ike hit it on the head. It's, if we're going to have people in positions to do jobs, then you empower them and enable them to do their jobs. And that's it. Anything else is unhealthy and it's unsustainable. And you can see clearly why we have been such a roller coaster of a program over the last 20 years. This article, the reason it really jumped out at me was that it referenced what happened with Gus in 2020. Now, we know that somebody really liked Gus to have extended him after the 2017 season. And then again, I think it was like another little restructuring after 2019 is what it was. It was well, next year is something. They restructured it because he wanted a football facility. They had been asking for that for a while. He said, I'll put some of my own money down to do it.
Right.
And that was somebody saying, okay, yeah, I'm with you. And as the article referenced, apparently there are just a few really big players on top, and one of them will do what they want to do. So if one person's a Gus guy, he extends him. He says, hey, you're going to extend him. And after that, somebody else jumped in after 2020 and said, no, I had enough of that. Sorry, Gus, get out of here. Here's your money. We need to do something else. There is no singular decision. These decisions are not coming from the athletic department. And that's what's most important about the first part of those quotes. This is not within the structure of athletics. These are people who do not play football, did not play football, who did not have years of experience of football, making decisions based on what they think and what they like. And honestly, what they think and like is worthless. It means nothing. If they, as a unit, if these big people on top could come together and make decisions as a singular force, I think it might be better. But they don't. They are in competition with each other, obviously, which is why you extend Gus 1 year and then you fire him the next. Alan Green, when we talked to JG, as soon as Alan Green hired Coach Harson, JG said, no, this was Alan Green putting it on the table right here. He did something outside of the influence of the people who would like to be controlling the situation. And we knew that. We could assume that. That's the thing. We could assume that. This article and what we've seen over the last week helps truly illustrate how disjointed the decision-making is at the top of the food chain for Auburn University. I don't know how you fix it when the people who enable the university to not only be competitive at athletics, but academically, as far as research, these are the same people who fund the university, not only for athletics, but for their programs, for the infrastructure, for the expansion of the campus. Are you going to, as the university president, which is why this doesn't happen, tell the guy who is making sure you stay in the top 100 of public universities, hey man, don't worry about it. You can't do that anymore. Your identity as a university, like many universities, is tied to the success of your alumni. If your alumni are not giving back and investing, you have a very hard, difficult uphill battle to compete and stay competitive in higher education. So to tell these people get out would be to doom the progress that you are making as an academic institution. And that's why the president cannot do that. That's why very rarely does the president do that. These people say, hey, you're going to get that guy, you're going to give him this many years, and the president does it. And that's the long and short of how those go. Going forward, I have no idea how this changes. You could, because as somebody I've seen, we reacting on Twitter all night and all morning. People are saying, well, what is it going to take to get this somebody out? And then we'll just however much money they were putting in, we'll just fund it as a man. That sounds nice.
Huh.
That
sounds nice.
One time is cool, but you gonna keep re-upping that money every year when they need it
Right.
again?
Right. We're talking about 8 figures, probably every 12 months collectively between whatever donations they're making. Again, not just to athletics, but to the university as a whole. It's not possible. It's not possible to do it. So we are in a situation where Brian Harson will be fired because what he has done is bring some very common sense operation to the athletic department, to the football program, which is, I am here to do a job. I am trying to do that job. I have assistants to hire. Let me know what I can spend on assistants. And he can't get an answer from anybody because AD Green is not at liberty to make that decision. He has to answer to these same people at the top of the food chain. So he can't make the decision on how much to pay people. So how are you going to go and recruit an offensive coordinator? Oh man, when are we going to get an OC? How are we going to get an OC when the people are actively sabotaging his ability to hire coaches by not giving him figures? So he can't go and say, here's how much I can offer you. here's how many years I can guarantee you will be paid for your services here. He can't go to anybody with that because he doesn't have it.
Right.
How is this healthy? It's a toxic way to do business. It's an unsustainable way of doing business. So he asked for that. He's apparently said, hey, I will meet with the board of trustees so they can tell me what we've got to work with. He's obviously, he knows what it is. He said, listen, they need to talk. Let them tell me. Let me come ask them some questions. They said, no, that's not a good idea. Don't come talk. Don't worry about it. This is the worst possible work environment I think we could put anybody in, especially anybody who we want to do a job that is this important and this difficult a job to do.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, I think the ridiculousness of that is it's not even that the power structure is so terrible. It's that we've gotten to a place now where we're firing a head coach for not doing anything wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
It's like, what are we really doing here? Like, we're firing people for not doing anything wrong and then trying to convince them that they shouldn't get a buyout because of that. Like, what are we being? So we're just going to make up reasons why I don't like you anymore so I can fire you for cause so I don't have to pay you money I owe you because for whatever reason I don't like you. Mm-hmm. This is the most insane. This is the dumbest crap.
For anything you love, you value the thing that you love to have character and integrity. And so the lack of integrity, even in that, Ike, baffles me. Okay, you want to fire a coach. We can look at a coach's record and argue, okay, they're not performing. Right? But you have a good body of work to even come to that conclusion. If you feel that the previous coaching staff wasn't getting it done, and if the athletic director can come on our platform and tell us he could just survey and look around the program and see that the hope needed to continue was not there, it tells me that a culture change needed to be invoked into this program. And just like any type of renovation project, it takes time. And it usually ends up looking worse before it ever gets better, especially if you got to gut out some things and people.
Yeah.
It doesn't go from okay to beautiful. Sometimes it goes from bad to worse because you have to literally remove the things that were contributing to such a bad culture.
Yeah.
So there will be kicking and screaming along the way because, yeah, it probably does look bad. But as I mentioned, there have been issues that extend beyond the coach. How do you convince, if you're Alan Green, how do you convince a head coach to come to Auburn? See, these are the questions that we got to ask ourselves now. This is what here's where we are now. If I'm Alan Green and I come to a coach and say, I'm interested in you for the Auburn job, that coach will look Alan Green square in the eye and says, what about the others? I see you, but what about the other people? Do they want me? Because if they don't, that makes my job harder. I don't want to be the next Brian Harson.
And you know what? So what you just said is interesting because it won't be Alan Green going to these people. We heard in the last coaching search that Bill Clark made some public statements about he interviewed with somebody and that he asked for control and they did not promise him control. And he said, who wants to deal with that? In a very dismissive way publicly about Auburn. And at the time, people was like, man, forget Bill Clark. President Jay Gouge and Alan Green. Well, Jay Gouge said, we did not talk to Bill Clark. He basically said Bill Clark is lying. I am now completely sure that somebody from Auburn talked to Bill Clark.
Right.
And he didn't want to play their game. And he put them on blast. Now, it may not have been the formal search committee or AD
Right.
Green or Jay Goose that talked to Bill Clark, but I'm fairly certain at this point that Kevin Steele was plan A. And when Kevin Steele didn't work out, they went to plan B. Talking to the people in the region who had had good rapport, coaches that were supposedly next up, like Billy Napier,
Mm-hmm.
somebody who's built a program from scratch, like Bill Clark, and said, hey, we like what you've done. Come on up here, make sure we can keep this hand up your back, and you got a good job. And they said, no, thank you. You got it. And
Right.
walked away. And that left us, for every person that we pitched or that they pitched, hey, we're going to run the show, but you're going to be the head coach. You ready? And they said, no, nobody wants to do that. They had seen what happened with Gus Malzahn. People, this wasn't a secret. I think the coaching ranks are a lot tighter than any of us probably see. Their agents talk to each other, if not them. You know, their assistant coaches talk to from coaches from other programs. So they know what it's like to work here and what the constraints are. And I'm fairly certain that what happened was AD Green said, yeah, we're not going to go and get anybody who you have poisoned or who you like because you like them. We're going to do a football coach search based on football. And we're going to get a guy that knows football and is willing to accept the challenge here and build a program. Harson was that guy. And it had nothing to do with whether anybody at the top liked it or not. They chose a coach who was outside of the sphere of influence of the good old boy network, of the familiar agents peddling the same coaches from job to job to job. And they got a football coach. And by all accounts, reports from players who didn't like how he ran things and did, he is a good football coach.
Right.
Nobody has disputed that. So when you said, see that, well, how do you go and how does AD Green go and pitch his job? He wouldn't. What has likely happened is when that person decided, listen, I'm tired of this Harson guy. We got to get him out of here. Let's get the stuff going. Let's get it stirred up. We got to get him out of here. They already had somebody in mind. And we will see very shortly, once what seems to be a predetermined decision, once it occurs, once they make this announcement and decide they're going in a new direction, the first name we hear is likely the name that they have already reached out to, that they have already talked to. Yeah. They've already talked to this guy's agent. They've already made sure, talk to him about what he's going to control and how he's going to control it. Our next coach, and it the same way I'll say this about Harson and the next coach, them being under the thumb of the administration or not does not mean they are not good football coaches.
Right. Right.
It is entirely possible that we could get a coach with a hand up his back that is actually a good coach.
So
we are in a position.
Go ahead. I was going to say, let me say this, and Lawrence just said it. I actually feel like I owe Gus Malzahn an apology at this point.
Yeah, I do too.
Because I was very much like over him, and I'm just like, you know what? I maybe you know he didn't do so great at you, but it's real. He had a tough job, and this is not the like. Despite all the things I dislike about how he coached the football program and the environment that he set up for those players to be in, good God, man. Like, how can you expect somebody to be good at their job when they're being handcuffed the entire time? Like, that's just not, it's not fair, man. It's not fair. I don't know that he would be any better a football coach than Brian Harson, but he dang sure did not have the ability to coach the way he wanted to. And at least I would be more satisfied with criticisms of Gus Malzahn if I felt like he was able to do it how he wanted and he failed. I don't feel like he got to do it how he wanted and he wasn't in a position to succeed. He just wasn't. That's not fair.
Yeah. And in a very similar way, we know that there are things that Harson could have controlled to keep the Wolves at bay. You win 2 more games, one of those being that Alabama game. I don't think this is happening. At least it's not happening to this extent, and it's not happening this soon.
Right. But all it takes is a bad year. That's all we've learned. Like you're just one season away that's not ideal from them moving on you if they don't like you.
Right.
Tuberville, all it took with him to go was 5-7.
Yeah.
Gone.
And in Gus's case, even though we knocked him for a lot of stuff, QB development was still number one. And that's still
Yeah, like
What
I
didn't
said, I
he?
have issues with how he coached the football program,
Right.
but like
So
his
there are
success was still handcuffed.
there are
So
football reasons that both of these guys were as maligned as Gus was. And in a very, very, very short sample size, you could nitpick Harson's first year. Sure, we lost too many games, but
Yeah.
that it seems like here's a razor's edge, and you just drift a little too far into the dark end of the pool, and we are pulling your card. And that's all you get because you don't have autonomy. Maybe you can make 7 out of 10 decisions that need to be made. And you have to make sure every one of those is right because these other 3, we're making them for you.
Right.
And that just doesn't seem like a healthy way to work at all.
I apologize for not being able to grab some of these super chats. But guys, we're going to run through these real quick before we move on to the next step. I did want to talk about Harson because again, I'm just curious as to where does he go from here? Just in terms of his reputation. This damaged his reputation. Make no mistake about it. This article did in terms of how he's perceived by coaches and the whole nine. This was not a good look for him. We'll talk about that at another time, just in the interest of having to knock out some other topics. Big Blue, we appreciate you, man. He says, Ike, I'd like to apologize to you after seeing the whining about Harson being too tough or not talking to their mama enough. I think a lot of roster turnover was needed to get us where we want to be. Any comments, Ike? Takes a big man to apologize.
You are probably one of the few people who ever came back and was like, you know what? Maybe you were right. It don't happen too often, and I appreciate that.
Takes a big man. Takes a big man. We appreciate you for that. Walt says, "Is this the most impactful show ever for the War Report?" Hashtag I stand with Harson. I don't know. That's for you guys to decide. But we're going to talk about it. Big Blue says, having said that, I'm still worried about OC recent junior day flop, Harson missing key events, etc. Hoping Harson does some course correcting and the powers that be are checked by. Good luck with that.
Yeah. I don't know how Alan Green's going to check anybody. He's not in position to check somebody, man. So
can't check the race of chicks.
Listen, while we're wishing Big Blue, I wish for world peace. I wish for $1 million in my bank account. But you're right. You're right. These I would hope for these things to change. I'm with you, Big Blue, 100%. JT says, according to Justin Hoke, Alan Green met with players Friday and more bad things than good was said. What is the truth of the situation? Somebody tell me. We not the ones that tell you, sir.
Yeah, I don't. Unless he was in that meeting, I don't know, or somebody reported back to him and said it was more bad than good. I don't know how he even knows. I don't know the truth. I wasn't there. I haven't talked to any players who were part of that or any staff that were a part of that meeting. So no clue.
Yeah.
Appreciate you, Bill Petty. I'm not sure if you chatted anything, but appreciate you for that. Scrolling down, Big Blue comes back again. Suni got the first perfect 10. Positive news there. Suni got the first perfect 10 in about 30 years yesterday at LSU. Again, these are some of the things. Like again, it was all good just a week ago. To quote the great poet Sean Carter. We just signed Bruce Pearl. Gymnastics is jumping, and here comes football. Right?
Yeah.
For all the wrong reasons. Again, appreciate the super sticker, Bill. Appreciate you, sir. Let's see here. I'm scrolling. Says you how far up I was. Walt Taylor says this is the same issue we had with Bobby Louder. Now it's just Jimmy Rain. He's become a very popular name. That's for sure over the past few years. Jazzy Joe says, is it clear that the boosters are not Auburn fans? Do we even know who they are?
We know who some of them are, but I don't know
some of them are.
I don't know who the troublemakers and the malcontents in that group are. I assume that they're all Auburn fans. They just don't know how to not be entitled people with money.
Right. This is double comma temper tantrums is what it is.
Yeah, for sure. Lisa Wise, appreciate you, Lisa. This new article answers questions and criticism about why Harson didn't move faster hiring the OC and filling other openings. It provides definitely some context. It definitely gives us some context. And again, there's two sides to a story. JT Martin says, Coach Clark was my head coach in high school. That man is one of the most honest people I've ever met. If he says he talked to someone, then he did. Again, this story causes me to question a lot. Even the whole Alan Green situation, because it almost seems like we know that people aren't perfect in doing their jobs. Even if they do a good job, they may not be perfect. There will be mistakes along the way. It makes me question the whole fiasco with Allen Green, seeing as though he was the one who went out and played a big part in getting Harson. Like, I question all of it now. And we kind of questioned it then, but it seems more apparent now than it did before.
Yeah.
Wardam ATL, Napier made a comment that he didn't know who he would be answering to at Auburn. I remember that comment. I remember that comment. This is a problem, y'all. This is a problem, just even moving forward. He says, I stand. Oh, appreciate this, man.
Oh, wow. Appreciate
I think
that.
I always butcher his name, though.
ACCSSI. I'm just going to say the
letter. Yeah. Okay. All right. ACCSSI. I stand with Harson and against the reins. I'm with you, brother. I'm with you, because this is not what has happened. Does more damage than it ever does good.
Yeah.
Walt says Philip Marshall is saying Harson is basically out, and most likely AD Green too. Wow.
Yeah. We'll see how it shakes out. I am leaning towards the camp that says that that's likely the course of action here. I just don't know why I don't know how they get out of this without paying a buyout, which is ridiculous.
They're going to have to pay it.
They're going to have to pay it, because it's going to get worse if he takes this to court. If this is a lawsuit, it's going to get.
There's no reason Brian Harson should not take this to court, and I'm appalled that anybody would suggest that he wouldn't win.
Yeah. They were saying the NFL with a suit that was just brought against them by Brian Flores, and even in the past with Colin Kaepernick, they were saying that the NFL settles, and I think somebody else mentioned the NFL always settles because they don't want you going through their phone records. Because if I have to say, well, we have to look at communication between all relevant parties to see if this was, collusion or whatever it is, then they get access to your phone records. And you don't want things coming out about how you make decisions or when you make decisions. So you say, fine, here's your money, get out of here. So that's why I don't see them not paying. They have to pay, because everything we've heard, and that article mentioned it as well, it said Harson was a very clean program guy. Like, it said he came in and said, we don't have to cheat to get players here. Don't cheat. We're not going to do it. He would tell his assistants, coaches, and grad, everybody, do not cheat. We're not going to do that here. He seemed to be so straight-laced that maybe too straight-laced maybe, but really not personable enough. If there's any fault here, and I don't want to say it's a fault as far as if you're not a personable, how you doing guy, I do believe you have to have some of that here to thrive here. That's the culture in the South. That's the culture at Auburn University. If that means if you're not that type of person, then people aren't going to be as high on you, then that is a shortcoming in this coaching position, not as an individual. Everybody doesn't have to be warm and fuzzy and ask you how you're doing all the time. But here, it specifically mentioned that it rubbed somebody the wrong way that he didn't attend a charity golf event put on by Bo Jackson. I think it was a Bo Jackson charity golf event. He didn't go. He sent a couple of his coaches or a couple of people underneath him to go, and said that rubbed some people the wrong way. Now, to be clear, that's not a job requirement as a football coach. And that also doesn't make you a terrible person or bad at your job if you don't want to go. But the culture here, he had to understand what the culture was. And I think that is a fair criticism. Is he a good culture fit? None of this is a fireable offense, though.
Before we move on, Walt Taylor says, assuming Harson is out, this will set the football program back many, many years. Hey, this is why I asked, where does Auburn go from here? Because you have a lot of things working against you. Even if you let go of Harson, who do you bring in, and how comfortable are they going to feel with knowing that they're going to be answering to a few different people doing their job, and how difficult it makes that job? You already got to beat Nick Saban and Kirby Smart, who are the strongest they've ever been at Georgia and Alabama, respectfully. But how do you manage internally Auburn? How do you overcome Auburn before you can even overcome your enemies? So that's where we are. To be continued. Guys, leave us your comments in the comment section, especially if you're watching on replay. Also, get the thumbs up on this video if you're watching on live or on replay as well. We're going to pause to acknowledge the sponsors of the War Report.
The War Report's weekend tailgate show is brought to you by our generous sponsors. University Ace Hardware, located at 2101 East University Drive in Auburn, Alabama, right across the street from the Auburn Mall and next to the movie theater. For all of your hardware needs, Ace is the place. AuburnSports.com. For news and notes on all things Auburn sports, head over to AuburnSports.com. And our giveaway sponsor, GWT2 Energy. If you want the best in the business at restaurant logistics, check out our friends at GWT2Energy.com.
Who got this?
I'll do it, man. Yeah, become a patron, man. Make sure you guys are doing your due diligence. We definitely have a lot of great information that's going to be coming your way that has absolutely nothing to do with this controversy, and it is going to be all about Auburn athletics as a football or basketball program. How about that? A sports show talking sports for a little bit. We will get back into the sports conversation very shortly, but you want to be a patron or a supporter to be a part of any of this stuff that we're going to be doing. Again, as I said at the top of the program, we will have content that will be exclusive for you, and that will be starting very soon. I promised it during the month of February, and that's what we're going to do. Outside of that, we're doing our giveaway today. Get your weight up t-shirt. Those of you who are in the South, you can still rock this. I apologize for those that are dealing with colder weathers in the northern states. That's just a poor life choice. But outside of that, you know, you can get your weight up stuff in our merch store if you don't get it and win it today. But hashtag get your weight up in the comments. We'll be doing the drawing here in about 20 minutes or so for that. We are on podcasts everywhere. So you guys make sure if you don't check us out on YouTube, you can get us while you're on the go for the podcast. All of the different places where you can find podcasts, we are there. It's basketball season. We have our new sponsor, prizepicks.com. I am doing prize picks segments every basketball game sometime that day prior to its daily fantasy. If you haven't done it yet, it's fun. Code rapport when you sign up. The link will be in the description as well if you want to sign up with Prize Picks to get in on all the fun. Yeah.
Oh, hey, Mike. How are you, buddy? Top of the morning to you.
What's up?
Listen, let's get to some of the positive news, shall we? Let's talk about the fact that Auburn basketball is on the nation's longest winning streak. They're undefeated in the SEC. They're 22-1. Like, there is some good news around Auburn. Right? Let's talk about it. Now, a little stressful yesterday.
Are we gonna talk gummies?
Say we doing gummies?
Yo, let's talk. Do we? I don't even think we have.
Yeah, we do.
We do.
Oh, I don't have it. I'll get it. Don't worry about that.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Grab that. We'll get to. Yeah, we definitely got to talk gummies.
Grab me those gummies.
Could you give me them gummies, player? Let's talk about it. Auburn wins a close game. It seems like Auburn was going to just easily cruise to victory, especially at the half. They were up 12 over Georgia, and the second half happened. And Auburn comes out with a close win. Let's go ahead and talk player of the game, shall we? Fans have voted. You have spoken up. Player of the game is...
Really?
Wendell Green Jr.
Really?
How is it not Wendell Green, Mike? What are you talking about?
We'll talk about that. 19 points, 5 for 17, 5 boards, 3 assists, 1 steal, 36 minutes. Now, this was interesting because Wendell played a lot more than he's accustomed to playing.
Yeah.
Zeb Jasper was ruled out for the game, sick, not feeling well. It was non-COVID illness, was reported. So Wendell Green ended up getting the start, and in moments where he would normally come off the court, he had to remain on. Auburn even brought on the walk-on kid. I can't think of his name right now.
Preston, was it Cook or Smith? I can't remember what his last name is. His first name is Preston.
It's Cook.
I think it's Cook. He even had to see some game time.
Yes, Cook. I just looked up.
But Wendell made a pretty strong play at the end to put Auburn up 74-72. Guys, talk to me. Let's talk about Wendell Green and kind of the unusual predicament he found himself in. He looked winded in the second half, especially with a lot of his shots. I know he was just trying to make something happen. But a lot of his shots were short in the second half, which usually is an indication of fatigue.
Yeah.
To kind of talk about it, Ike, what are your thoughts on Wendell, how he played, and the play he made at the end?
Yeah, listen, for him to play that many minutes and be the guy that came up with the play at the end to seal the victory, hats off to that young man. He has been my favorite player on this team for the entirety of this season. He continues to be impressive. He's just a very gritty player. He does not balk at the opportunity to step up and do big things. He facilitated this game really well. I mean, he's not going to be the defensive presence that Zep Jasper is, right? And I think we definitely understand the value of having Zep's minutes as a just tenacious on-ball defender, disrupting what opposing teams' offenses want to do with getting into their sets and being comfortable with what they want to do in the open floor. But from the offensive standpoint of running the team and getting people in position and putting pressure on the other team to be able to have to get stops, Wendell is amazing at it. The alley-oop he had to Devin Cambridge in the open court. What's great about that alley-oop is that he missed that same oop in the open floor a few trips earlier. And he tried to get it to Flanagan with a dump back, and Flanagan ended up traveling. And Flanagan was like, yo, just put that up. I'll go get it. And the next time down the floor, it wasn't Flanagan, but he remembered. He was like, oh, yeah, I could just play this off the board. And he did. And Cambridge caught it with one hand. That's what I'm talking about, of like players understanding in moment. Like, if you go back and watch the game, I promise you, I don't know why I pay attention to everything in the game, but I promise you will see after Flanagan travels on that play, he's telling them, just throw that up and I'll go get it. A couple of trips later, they have another open floor opportunity. He remembers, and he does that same thing with a different player. It's just adapting on the fly, man.
Sure.
But yeah, very gritty game by him. Didn't like the shot selection he had in a couple of moments, but hey, you get the dub. I can't be upset at the overall results, but hopefully this was an opportunity to learn. And we definitely have some things that we need to get better at as tournament time comes around.
Cleveland Brown, appreciate you, man. Says the powers that be basically started an unnecessary game of hot potato with a live grenade. No matter where it lands, the AU brand will be damaged. Get your gummies.
Yeah, rogueshop.com.
Rogueshop.com. Yeah.
Cold report. Get your gummies. Can't agree more. I'll tell you what, before we move on for that comment, you got excellent discussion earlier. I will just add that litigation should be what nobody wants. Because I'll tell you what, the reason why I'm kind of leaning Harson comes back is because in litigation, there are going to be a lot of lawsuits flying around. And if you didn't know, when a lawsuit is started, everybody is open to what's called discovery. And in discovery, a lot of people may be exposed in this one. Right. So I get ready for people to start burning files and burning their houses down and doing anything they can to hide the evidence in this one. Because if I'm Harson or if I'm Klesi, I'm going after everybody.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So
sure.
I'll leave that one right there.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Wendell. Remember him?
Mm-hmm.
Your thoughts on his performance? B or Mike, you can join in. You can jump in.
I mean, Wendell, I've often praised Kessler as the MVP of this team, which he still is, in my opinion, because without Kessler, we aren't keeping teams from scoring while we're struggling to score. And I know it's not going to get every highlight, but he's blocking and influencing too many shots on the defensive end. And that's invaluable when you can't get the ball to go in the bucket yourself. You just need to make sure that, all right, they didn't score. We got another chance to try to get some offense going. Well, we didn't do it. They didn't get up by more than 2 points down the stretch. Was it more than 2 at any point? I don't think it was more than 2.
It was more than 2. 2 was it.
One more than 2.
I remember every possession. I was eerily. It did not feel like at Bama or at Missouri. I was like, okay, we really need to keep them from scoring here. And it was a combination of good team defense, on ball defense, and Kessler at the rim. So I still love what Kessler brings. I still think he's the MVP. However, Wendell Green, this game and every game on the offensive end, is the most fluid. He is the most mature, but also the most present of mind in what to do with the ball in his hand or how to get it to somebody else in the perfect spot. This game, the shots weren't falling, but he still hit a couple of big ones when we needed it. And I know his legs were like jelly. And he talked about it after the game. He was tired. Play all these minutes, man. Zep's not out there. Their guard gets loose partially because Zep's not there. But those minutes, man, on a basketball court, maybe Zep plays somewhere between, I don't know, somewhere between 10 and 15 minutes a game. It might not be a whole lot, but those are some serious minutes, man. Wendell can come in and just get loose most games because Zep did all the hard work. You guarded the other dude. The other dude got 8 minutes on his legs already. I'm gonna come in here and get busy because Zep Jasper is in the game guarding for so long, the best guard most times. So he had to pull some double duty and just the grittiness, man. At the end of the game, to be down there and put up that shot amongst the trees, that won the game to me. Nobody was fluid offensively. Nobody. So I don't knock anybody for not being 100% on offense, but when it came down to it, I know that man was more tired than anybody else on that court because the Zep's minutes being back in play, you were the person who picked him up. We know Preston Cook got some of them, but that really wasn't working well, and they extended their lead, or they closed the gap a lot when Preston Cook was on the floor because you could tell there was just a lack of chemistry between Cook and the rest of the players.
Right.
So Georgia closed the gap while that was happening, and Bruce knew. He was like, I got to go with Wendell Green. Like, it's not going to work with Preston Cook. He's not in that flow. It's got to be Wendell, and he came through. Now, if we don't win, maybe you don't say that he came through, but we did win. He came through, man. No doubt, my play of the game.
Mike G, question for you. Was that really a charge that Georgia felt that it was by Wendell Green at the end?
I never thought I'd say this. I'm really proud of the SEC refs for the non-call there at the end because Buddy's feet were definitely moving. He was like, I watched it. When I cut the highlights and posted it to the channel, I looked at that play like 20 times. And I'm like, I just don't see a world where that's not a block.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm about to say,
I don't
block.
Yeah, I don't see a world where that's not a block. So I'm okay with the non-call there. So it's a block or it's nothing. Yeah. But a charge would have been such a stretch. And I'm telling you, if that ref saved all the things in my house from being smashed if he had called a charge right there. Yeah. That would have been a terrible call. So yeah, definitely was not a charge. Shout out to him. Listen, Bruce has been preaching all year about playing 10 deep and why we play 10 deep. You know, and I even had some questions about why Zep Jasper was starting, and we found out. I asked him a game in the post game, and I said, "Listen, they're attacking Walker, and their teams are actively trying to get him in foul trouble now.
Right?
You know, what do you do, kind of moving forward?" And he just said, "I need Zep Jasper back. I need Zep Jasper back." So it was cool to see the importance of Zep Jasper to the autonomy of what they're trying to do. It was really cool to see that, but watch Auburn still pull it out. Now, I've read some garbage articles that keep saying Auburn needs to lose a game before the tournament. I'm like, why? We have played 6 games decided by 2 possessions or less. We lost one, UConn, 115-109. And we won the other 5. I think winning those games is just as good as losing the game. 5 ugly games. It's not like we're going to get to the tournament and not know how to get through a dogfight. We know how to get through a dogfight. They're just winning them. Other teams are losing those games.
Right.
I don't see how losing benefits, but because our coach is hyper aware of what needs to be done better. So hats off to Wendell. I know he had to be exhausted. By the end.
He normally plays like 19 or 20 minutes. He played 36. Like, that's just
And you know, Pearl said that he doesn't even know if he'll practice them before game day Tuesday. They might sit. He might just rest everybody until they do walkthrough on Tuesday, and that's it. That's how tired. That's how tired everybody was after that. I will say this: I know they're like 1-30 in the SEC right now, but hats off to Georgia for not just letting us come in and run them over. They didn't let Bama do it, right? They beat Bama. And they've had some other close games, and their record may not reflect it, but they played with some grit. You know, hats off to Tom Crean for getting his team up for this game. Their fans, I thought, the 30 that showed up, they were really loud, and you know, they were into it, and you know, they had these little nerds on the sideline. Yeah, we could beat number one, and it was close there at the end. So to go on the road and for a guy to be dog dead tired like he was, take the ball, no timeout, right? This is the trust that Pearl has in his guys. No timeout.
Right.
Georgia didn't have any. I think we had 2 left. Take the ball up court, you know, not the tallest guy on the court, but take it down there in the weeds with the trees right at them and then make that shot. Come on, man. Let's go. I was drunk.
I'm so sick of Georgia fans whining and saying that was a charge. Like, I just don't like, you can't.
It wasn't.
So I don't know if they know what the criteria are to be met for a charge, but
a charge is any play that they didn't like where we were on defense.
Yeah, listen, the guy, I went back because in real time it felt like the dude was further under the basket, Ike. But when you go back and look at it, he was just outside the restricted circle. I think he had 1 foot outside the restricted circle.
You have to have both, though.
Yeah, but he was moving and like
he was backpedaling.
Yeah, and he kind of slid a little bit to the left, to his left.
But so even
right,
so,
like,
let's just say he was outside of the restricted circle, right? Like, this was at the 3-point line. He has to be clearly established in the path of the person, or Wendell Green would have had to extend his arm to further the contact. You can't just run in front of somebody and that's a charge. That's not how charges work. Like, you have to have established position in front of that person, or the offensive player has to physically initiate additional contact. Not only that, he swiped down at the ball. So if you're going to get a charge, you can't be making a play towards the ball as well, because that clearly shows aggression on the defensive part. If it's anything, it's a defensive foul, or it's a no call, which the refs astute. That not being a foul call actually helped Georgia because they had an opportunity to get the loose ball that was created from the collision. They just didn't do it.
Right.
That is not nobody's fault but your own players for trying to go in there and initiate contact rather than playing basketball. That's why you've only won 6 games this year.
Among other reasons.
All right. Let's run through some supers real quick. Ben Bloodworth, appreciate you, buddy. Did the season flash before everybody's eyes when Wendell was slow to get up, just as KD Johnson appeared to have broken his wrist or injured his wrist?
The KD situation.
My bad. Go ahead.
No, I was gonna say the KD situation. I don't know how worried I was. I mean, he ran off the floor like immediately and went straight back to the locker room. I was like, "Yo, what just happened?" But yeah, I thought the Wendell situation, I think, looked worse to me. But if KD had gone out in that game, there's no way we win. Just we didn't have enough quality guard play to make it through.
For sure.
Right.
Big Gap 78 says this team is fully tested. I just hope we stay healthy and Flanagan finds his groove going into attorney play, War Eagle, and get your weight up. I support Harson. And I think that goes into Mike G's point, is that we've had those games where and I think one of the announcers was talking about it as well. They were saying this is a close game, but you got to remember Auburn is tested in these games. Georgia isn't.
Right.
So as it turns out, the more tested team knew how to handle themselves down the stretch. I think that those are the games you need. And again, it helps that you're able to win these games, even not even being at full strength, being able to pull these games out and learn from it. You can learn from a win. And I get it. Losing a game makes you angry. You come out and play with your hair on fire. But I think this team is really motivated, and Bruce has stayed on this team in terms of not losing his focus. Just unfortunate turn of events. So, Jacqueline Giddens, thank you. Appreciate that. I think you were trying to chat us something, but appreciate you. Christian Crawford, Wendell and KD ball hogging too much. They need to get the ball to Jabari more. Jabari couldn't get into any rhythm, not enough touches. And I spoke to that because I agree. There was some shot selections that Wendell made that that I wasn't fond of. There was opportunities he could have fed Jabari into the paint that he didn't. But I know KD was back home.
Yeah.
KD was on in another space because again, he touched the ball, the boos just came. So for him, all right, I'm finna give y'all this work.
Yeah,
you know, I think that was a lot of that.
He was relishing the opportunity to put. He wanted to put up 50. If he could have put up 50 yesterday, he would have.
Yeah, I asked him about it in the post game. I was like, so how did it feel to go out there and drop 20 on your old team? And he kind of downplayed his performance and just said, I wish I had played better. We got the win, but it wasn't what we wanted. I was really happy with that answer.
Yeah.
Sure.
So, I mean, to the point, though, of Jabari needing more touches, I don't disagree that he needs more touches. I think they need to figure out this is the only knock I will have on how we operate offensively is that we haven't figured out how to really, really get those. We have the guys to just give them the ball and get out of the way, KD, Wendell, Jabari. But it seems like Wendell and Jabari are the only ones that get those opportunities frequently. And I think every now and then we probably do need to just give Jabari the ball and let him operate. And the issue, though, I think, is that Jabari, again, and I say this frequently, has not learned how to play out of the double team well. And that's all they're doing is when they give him the ball, they're just sending a double at him immediately. They're just like, no, you're not getting a one-on-one opportunity against anybody. Right. So it's not like he gets a chance to play one-on-one. So knowing that, we need to figure out how to, one of the announcers talked about it, about a post, a kick out, and then a reestablish, right? So if you're going to double, that's fine. I'll just reestablish in a different spot and make that double team have further to travel to come get me, or I'll reestablish deeper where I can go quicker, right? If you start doing stuff like that, you're making their defense have to adjust in a very different way. And that's one thing I want to see us be able to do, but that's not so much on Bruce Pearl. I mean, he can emphasize those things, but that's on the players recognizing the opportunity for things like that and not just saying, oh, they double teamed and we're going to kick it back out and then go somewhere else. You have to find out how to play through the player that's getting the attention so that other people get wide open shots. And again, Jabari's got to be better at understanding how to navigate those double teams, because if he's going to be this guy in the league that is a featured player, that's not going to stop. They're going to be sending double teams at you for the rest of your career. How do you play out of those double teams and make other people better in those instances? Right now, he just has not gotten that feel for the game yet that allows him to do it.
Indeed.
And it's not like he doesn't get his shots either. I think Jabari is the most likely. KD is a kind of a one-on-one guy. Wendell can go one-on-one and facilitate, which is why he's so valuable. Jabari is a one-on-one guy. Like Ike said, he's going to see the double team. I've seen maybe 4 or 5 times this season where out of that double team, Jabari found the right guy. We rotated it and got an open shot. It doesn't happen a lot. He gets stripped, or he just misses a shot, or he settles for the jump shot.
Right.
I think part of that is his inability to handle in traffic is going to be a reason why he doesn't get an easier shot when the double team comes. He can't split the double team. He's not quick enough to split a double team, especially if he starts with his back to the basket. He's not getting the ball in motion at the top because he's not a good enough ball handler to do that consistently yet. So there are some holes in his game because he's 18. He's a freshman. He's a supremely talented 18-year-old freshman, but he's still an 18-year-old freshman. So on top of what he still needs to develop at, he's getting challenged this way probably the first time ever in his life. So, yeah, I expect some of this to be the case, and that's why the guys who we can count on the most are the guys who have been playing ball for a minute. KD is crazy, but that confidence is what allows him to make a lot of the shots that he was missing them yesterday. And we talk about this all season so far. The shot selection is a little but between KD especially, Wendell sometimes, and Flanagan sometimes too. But KD and Wendell have come through more than they have not. So
Right.
you
Right.
live with that. You live with them
Right.
doing that because you've seen them win games for us playing like that.
Right.
Flanagan, I don't know if his struggles are a product of him being the best player on this team last year and having so much responsibility, and now that has reduced to just a shell of what it used to be. You're not doing the ball handling anymore. You know what I mean? You're not out here taking 15 shots a game anymore. Some of that being taken from him. We said that we're going to have to find a way to incorporate him. I don't know what the answer to that is. You got to put it on Bruce to figure it out because Bruce is the dude. But shot selection is an issue when we're missing. If they make more than they miss, it won't matter.
Yeah, I just think that there's going to be teams that are better teams that you can't have these kind of shooting nights against.
Agreed.
With the poor selection of shots, not necessarily in the way. Like if you're missing open shots, then you're having a bad shooting night. But if you're taking poor shots and having a bad shooting night, that's a whole, like, it creates other problems for your team. Props to I again saw KD make a heady pass again today. Like he had to oop the last game. This game he had some kind of 360. Now he didn't make the shot, but it's like 360 spin in the lane, kick out for a 3. I was like, oh, KD actually saw somebody. Like it looked like he went in the lane with the intent to make that pass. And I was like, wow, he thought pass first when he got in the middle of the lane. That's almost never happened. So definitely a good showing from him in spots of understanding, yep, you know what, I am being out of control. Let me figure out another way to, get that. So that's the evolution I'm seeing of KD. I'd like to, I need one of the other guards to figure it out though. One of those off guards, either Devin Cambridge or Flint. One of them has to give me some quality minutes offensively at some point in time. Cambridge is doing a great job on the glass. His effort on the offensive glass has been amazing these last few games.
We've needed it. We have needed it.
I just Alan Flanagan just is not back into basket. It's not I don't think he's out of shape. I just think he's just not fluid right now.
Right.
And I don't know what it's gonna take to get him into a place where he can be more fluid, but he ain't doing it right now for me.
Yeah.
Well, let's go ahead, guys, and get to the drawing. You know what we're giving away. Lobtown t-shirt, hashtag get your weight up in the chat. You already know what to do. We're going to give you guys a little bit of time. Ike already has it up. I want to get to some of these super chats real quick. Jacqueline, I do see where you tried to ask us the question because this went with your super that was missing your text. Sorry, I'm late. How many players do you think we'll lose if they fire Harson? Ike, you are the best. LOL. Stand behind Harson. Auburn strong. Jacqueline, I'm just going to go with a lot. All you got to do is look at schools like LSU and Florida and how many people entered the portal after their coach left. I wouldn't be surprised to see more guys leave Auburn amidst the coaching change, because you have to think about guys who came here, guys who, were in good opportunities to compete for positions based off of what was currently in place. I'm pretty sure with the portal being what it is and everything in flux, you're likely to see a lot of players leave. Don't know how many. But
yeah, let me tell you something. This is going to be an unpopular take, I'm sure. But
I'm ready to boo you already. Go.
If the boosters get away with this coup, I'm in right now. How I feel is I'm in burn it to the ground mode. Right? I hope nobody stays, because the problem with these people who have money is they think nobody's going to do anything. They'll get over it. Right? They think this will just blow over. And people, the masses, the people have to show them that this is not just going to blow over. We're not going to keep standing for this. Right? The people, you know what I mean? Because you can give $50 million to the program every year. If nobody shows up to the games, it's all for naught. Now, I saw some people say, and I don't call them for a boycott of the university, but I've seen some people say, I will not spend another dime on anything Auburn if they get away with this. And these are people who were not Harson fans, but hate how this was handled.
Yeah.
Right.
If you wanted to fire him, just fire him. But pay his buyout, because that's the right thing to do. Don't create a smear campaign and go after this man's integrity and then destroy a young woman's life in the process. These people are evil. What happened? What's happening here isn't right. So, like, I just, and you know what? It's just my opinion. If I were a player, I'm going to play someplace else. I'm just going to play someplace else.
Right.
We got basketball, and we got equestrian, and we got gymnastics, and we even got bass fishing.
Killing
Number one,
all of them.
killing all of them.
We have a hockey team. That's
hockey club
that's
doing work.
The hockey club doing work. Yeah,
teach these guys a lesson, man. I think we've talked a lot about how, like, if a few people, a lot of people do a little, we could do a lot of things. Man, would you guys say there are 500,000 Auburn fans in the country? Did you guys say this? Half a million, right? Not students, but like,
right.
graduated.
I mean, listen, between all the students that have been through the university over the last 20 years, 500,000 is not a stretch to think.
If every single one of those people gave $100 to a coaching fund, that would be like $50 million. And put it toward and that would pay for a coach for 10 years. So we'd never be beholden to this.
So we're going to go the Green Bay Packers route of the crowdfunded.
Right. Ownership. Why not?
We got to do that every year, though. We got to do that every year.
You got to re-up. $100 ain't bad,
Right, $100. Yeah. Like, why does the destiny of the program have to be about the 30 people who donate and not the 500,000 that support every year?
Yeah.
Screw that, man. I'm so disgusted with how this has gone down, man. And then the result has been literally clickbait videos. Guys, last night, there are people doing videos of TMZ style about Brian Harson with like robotic voices. Like, you know what I'm talking? You know that new trend where it's like not somebody talking, it's just like a robot voice or something, right? Just trying to get views and clicks, capitalizing on the rumor. They did this. You won't be able to tell me otherwise. If you wanted to fire him, just fire him and pay his buyout because that's the right thing to do. That's why that thing exists. That's why. And even if they do pay the buyout, I hope he sues.
Blake Robinson says, I hope Zep is back for the Archie game or we're toast. War Eagle gentlemen, I too stand with Harson. Hopefully whatever Zep had going on, he's better. We'll know as we get closer to the game for sure. Here comes Jazzy Joe. I'm gonna save Jazzy's. Y'all want to do the Jazzy challenge right now?
No, let's do it after.
Let's do it.
Let's do that. Okay. Let's go ahead and do the drawing, y'all.
All right, let's see what we got here. All right, get your weight up in the comments. I ain't gonna belabor this no more. We're gonna get to it, man. T-shirt Lobtown. Y'all see what it is. I'm rocking my Lobtown hoodie today. You get a t-shirt with a similar design. Well, it's the same design. Harris People 19. That's a new name.
That is a new name.
I like it when I see new names. Harris, you need to let us know if you're here, though, because otherwise, the comment section will definitely turn on you quicker than the boosters on Brian Harson.
Big facts. Big facts. All right, guys. It's gummy time.
Yeah.
How you want to set how you want to set these questions up? I'll let you.
We gotta run this first.
This segment of the War Report is brought to you in part by RogueShop.com. If you're in need of high-quality, all-natural herbs and extracts that contribute to a happy, healthy lifestyle, the Rogue Shop is the place for you. With a variety of products that contribute to a healthy sleep, lower stress, and a happy mood, the Rogue Shop has you covered. Visit them at DRogueShop.com and use code REPORT today. Tell them the War Report sent you.
Hey, Harris. Yeah, I just saw your comment. Appreciate you very much, good sir. Email business@thewarreport.com. We need your address and your t-shirt size. We will send that out to you as soon as we possibly can. Thank you so much for continuing to support. And, I always like to see new folks get in the win in the comment section. So good for you, brother.
Indeed. All right. Now, Ike, how you want to do these questions, man? Because you got your different scenarios. So I'll let you take this one.
All right. So I'm gonna. Who wants the easy one? Just raise your hand if you wanted the easy one here.
I mean, I could come up with many, so I'm
gonna go with the easy one first. C. We are closing out the first half, and Georgia's making kind of a little bit of a push to get back in the game. It's clear that they're getting more foul calls than Auburn is at this point. Georgia fans who say that the refs were biased in this game, you guys shot way more free throws in the first half, whatever. It's clear they're getting more foul calls, but they're starting to pick up an offensive rhythm. Where are you right now in terms of gummies at that point in the game?
I'm at a 1 because they taste really great.
Do they? Do you know that? You've got yours?
Can you not do this, B? Let me. No, I don't have them yet.
I told you in the mail.
Okay.
No, I don't have them yet. Okay. But I've been told by someone that they taste great. All right. So
they do. Why you think I was late?
I'm gonna go with a cool 1 gummy here.
Okay.
Let me get that out the way so you can see it. 1 gummy.
Gotta get some sound effects, man.
Yeah, I thought about trying to figure out the sound effects situation with that, but it would have to be
one gummy, just because I was like, you know what? I want a gummy. Not because I'm stressed. I wasn't stressed. I was feeling really good. I feel like Auburn's going to cruise at this point.
Okay. All right. So, second half begins. Auburn cannot buy a basket. Georgia has started to basically fast break us to death. Like, it was just repeated open floor situations, and we're being very sloppy with the ball. B. Will, where are you at? And it's about 4 or 5 minutes into the second half, and Georgia has definitely made a run, closed this lead. What are you feeling at that moment?
I'm about 2 gummies. I'm 2 gummies right there. And it's because I had read coverage of our team had illustrated how Zep is number 1, the best on ball defender, and number 2, he rarely turns the ball over. And we start turning the ball over like crazy. And I go, oh crap. We don't have Zep. How are we going to get this under control? We are feeding their offense.
Yeah.
Because our point guards are turning the ball over. This is not good news. We knew we were going to get everybody's best shot when we go to their gym. We know that as the number 1 team, and really just as a really good team. If we were the number 5 team in the country, but still the best SEC team, every SEC game on the road would be like this. But knowing that there isn't a rotation that we can use to stem the tide. Like, we usually can put Kessler and Green is going. Our offense is going to get moving. We're going to start scoring. But if they're scoring off of fast break points,
right,
we are turning the ball over. And because Zep is not the one handling the ball, there is no immediate fix for that. And because Wendell Green is definitely going to be tired, because I'm not sure if Preston Cook could come in at that point or not. When he was in there, there were at least 2 turnovers. One was him handling the ball. The other was miscommunication. They thought he was going to be to the right, but he didn't roll all the way around to receive the pass, turnover. And I'm like, oh crap. We're going to keep feeding their offense, aren't we? And I was getting worried. I still didn't think we were going to lose until we're 4 minutes left and we're down 2 or we're tied. And we had not been able to buy a bucket. That pull away we showed against, like, when Bama, when it got down to there within 2 and we just jet away, I wasn't seeing it. I was worried. I was too worried right then. But that's 4 minutes in. If you ask me about 12 minutes in, it might be a whole bag.
Okay, well, I'm going to ask you, Mike. We are down to Georgia. Georgia takes the lead with about 4 minutes left in the game. Where are you at that moment?
3. Just put the 3 up. Yeah, I was worried. Well, before that, it was no point in the game after like the first half that you could have asked me and I wasn't a 3. It just was clear that we were not going to find the offensive flow that we were looking for in the game. I felt like we won on talent, and that's about it, right? Bruce Pearl admittedly said that he used timeouts poorly at the end of the game.
Yeah, he said.
Yeah, we had way too many left.
Yeah, he said his timeout management was poor, and it could have and should have cost us. I was really encouraged to hear our head coach take responsibility for clock management. Now, if you remember during the football season, in a lot of these pressers, I asked that question repeatedly. At the end of the game, Coach, can you talk about clock management and how things went? And to hear him say, to finally hear a coach say, I messed up the timeout situation was encouraging. So I was a 3. I was definitely a 3 because this was no Zep. Like the reality of what Zep Jasper means to this team was definitely setting in for me. Yeah. I will admittedly say I underestimated the impact that he has both offensively and defensively, and spelling Wendell as well too. I mean, these guys have split minutes so well that when you just kind of take it for granted, we've been playing 10 guys and the flow stays there. And at the end of the game, we're fresh. Right. I was also a 3 because after they put Preston Cook in, every time he touched the ball, I was like a 6 gummy. I was like, bro, listen, no shade to this young man, but man, the moment did seem too big for him.
Sure.
I don't know if anybody else felt that way, but like I felt like every time he touched the ball, just when they were pressing him, they were like, don't let this dude dribble. He's scared. Right. So hopefully that was a learning moment for that young man there. But I can only imagine getting thrust into duty, right? Struggling on the road, even though it's Georgia, but this is still a Georgia team that beat Alabama. Right. So, it's not as if they're just, their record says they're garbage, but they still got some talent on that team. So there were a number of things that got me there.
The kid's name Quando?
Yeah, he was getting buckets.
Yeah,
25 in the game.
And now he didn't play the first game where we played Georgia, and you can tell he's their guy. And boy, he was out there hooping.
Yeah. Listen, they got some talent on that team. So I was a 3 all the way through the second half. It just was like, we're going to have to win. We're going to have to. I was thinking around the 10-minute mark, this is going to be one of those somebody's going to hit a shot at the buzzer type deals. Yeah. Right. And then after they still had 3 seconds left, I was like,
I was worried.
Because if you got the right guy, you can push the ball from baseline to 3-point line in 3 seconds. Mm-hmm. There are guards who could do that, and he ended up taking a half-court shot, which was much to my relief. But I don't think they ran that very well, or they didn't have any timeouts. So
they didn't have any timeouts.
Yeah, but I was 3 all the way. It was, and for the record, for anybody watching this, if you order from Rogue Shop, read the label. Do not take free gummies. Please do not take free gummies. You will go to a magical place for about 16 hours. It will not be fun. So
that's why you always late on the Sunday shows, huh?
Yeah, just read the label. Don't take 3 gummies, please.
So for me,
get one and like nibble the.
I was at a
firm 3 times.
I was at a firm 2 gummy up until about 16 seconds left in the game, and the guy who had been splashing from 3 gets a wide open corner 3, and I was like. I knew that was a bucket. Yeah. I was just like, when it rotated and came back around to him, I was like, no. So I was, my wife and I were at a friend's house, and if she's watching right now, she said she was going to watch today. I was the worst house guest ever because I came in and I was like, yo, y'all got a TV? And I'm trying to turn the game on. I'm not paying any attention to what they're talking about. Like, I'm watching the game. They're like asking me questions and we're trying to eat. And I was like, yeah, that's cool. And the one eye on the TV, like barely eating my food, all that kind of stuff. And then I walked up, got away from the table, had to walk over to the TV. I was like, come on, guys, we can't lose to Georgia, man. Come on, bro. Like, lose to somebody good. Like that, not this one. We can't go out like this. And he got that 3. And I was like, no. Yeah. Okay. All right. Let's just get a bucket. Let's get a bucket. And Wendell gets downhill. He got the ball stripped out. I was like, that's not a foul. Oh, he got the ball back. Oh,
I thought he got fouled on that make, honestly.
He got fouled like 3 times.
He
Yeah,
got fouled on
for
that.
sure.
I'm very surprised that they let all that contact go.
Yeah, listen,
and
you
you
got
didn't
the
hear any
bucket,
Auburn
it's
fans
all
complain
good.
about that.
But
So, yeah.
I was down to 0 gummies when it was 3 seconds left and they had to go the length of the floor. Though I was like, oh, they not.
Yeah,
good.
when they had to
Listen,
go to length, I was like, okay, I'm good. I'm good.
yeah,
on
if
this.
it had been like a half court set or something like that, I'd have been more worried. But 3 seconds, I liked what we came out defensively with in that zone. I was like, yeah, this isn't gonna work out because we're already difficult to inbound the ball against, have full court. Yeah, I was just like, nah, we're good. Huge sigh of relief after that layup went down, but I was firmly at 3 gummies when that corner 3 was in the air.
Yeah, I was nervous.
Shout out to Walker Kessler for grabbing that board too, man.
Man.
Golly,
Yeah.
man. We needed every bit of effort everyone put in during that game. I was actually, I thought, if you listen to my Prize Pick segment, I thought Jabari was going to have a better game than this.
Yeah.
He missed a lot of stuff that he should have made. But you can also tell that there's a couple of times when he was shooting, he didn't get his feet set properly. Like he was actually more open than he thought he would be when he caught it, and he didn't set his feet properly. Like he didn't have the fluidity that he normally had, which leads me to believe this was a pressure game for him, being back in the state of Georgia, on the road against Georgia. The game was tight. Like this was a pressure moment for Jabari. And this is one of those times where the moment felt a little big for him in some of those instances. What I will say again, the thing that I love about him as a player is he doesn't let that impact him in other aspects of the game. He's going to be ferocious in trying to go get boards. He didn't have a lot of boards, but he had some timely ones. He's going to be tenacious on the defensive end. I just need him to figure out how to play more composed on the offensive end when instead of trying to get foul calls or instead of forcing shots up and, trying to dance and all that kind of stuff, do the stuff that got you here. Composed, one step. There was a situation where he caught the ball in the corner and he caught it. And normally that's a catch and shoot for him, but they had to close out on him. He does a couple of little jab steps. He goes into the guy and then he does a step back 3. And it's like, Jabari, that's not your game, bro. You're
right.
a catch and shoot guy. You're a one-step pull-up guy. Get into your bag after you've gotten your game going. Don't go straight to the bag to try to go get buckets, because that's how KD gets himself going. He's gonna go to the bag, in and out crossover, and then pull up on you. That's KD's game. I'm not saying Jabari can't hit those shots. I'm saying those shots become easy once you've gotten a couple of buckets for yourself.
Right.
Get yourself into rhythm, shoot a couple of them, let those drop, then go into your bag, because then you're feeling it's more fluid at that point in time. But if you're forcing yourself into your bag, I ain't seen it yet. It's been 22 games. I haven't seen him force himself into his bag.
Right.
So if he can do it, he hasn't shown that on the court yet. Right. So I just need him to figure out how to get himself a couple of easy ones before you start trying to force yourself into those other situations.
Yeah. Agreed. Let's run through these supers real quick. Jazzy Joe, Jazzy Challenge. We choose who we think makes more threes in the next game.
So we have to collectively decide who's going to get more threes in the Arkansas game. Is that what we're saying?
200 for the right answer. Yeah, so we got 4 shots there.
Yeah.
I'm saying no.
No. I think we have to collectively.
We have to collectively decide between those 2 guys.
These are not good choices.
No, these are great choices. That's why it's a hard decision.
That's why it's a hard decision, because
Jazzy thought about this one. He thought through.
Is it just me?
Cambridge airball won yesterday.
Cambridge airballs win every game. How is it possible that Devin Cambridge so consistently will shoot a shot that almost gets stuck between the backboard and the rim?
Yeah.
How does he do that?
What is it
about the way that he shoots that makes that happen so often? I've never seen it happen.
Because didn't he have one that gets the ball got stuck between?
Yeah, it happened a couple of games ago. And it almost happened again. This guy, it's happened so much in his career at Auburn. I'm like, what is it about the way that you shoot that makes this happen?
I don't know.
I don't know, man. Flanagan. So let's be clear. Flanagan's the better shooter of the 2. Cambridge is showing it better this year, though. Just because Flanagan hasn't shot the ball well at all. Gosh, this is tough, man. This is tough. I would say Devin Cambridge is going to hit more threes because I don't know that Flanagan will hit any. Even though he had a really nice three in yesterday's game, I was like, okay, Flanagan might, and then
I was
had
leaning
like 3 turnovers
Flanagan.
after that.
I'm leaning Flanagan here. I can count on Cambridge because I think Flanagan is a wild card because he is a better shooter overall. Even though he's struggling, we know he can at least get one off. I think Cambridge, I can count on him to do the things he's been doing: crash offensive boards, play around the basket, catch and oop. Like,
yeah, I think I'm with you. I'm with you.
I could be wrong, but
I don't feel strongly about either one of them. So if you guys want to go Flanagan, let's go for it.
What do you think, Mike? That's what you think. All right.
I'm gonna go Flanagan.
All right, let's go with it. Flanagan.
We're gonna go Flanagan.
Just because of minutes played, I guess. Maybe it seems like did Flanagan start the game?
Yes,
Flanagan starts.
Yeah. So, like, what happens if they tie?
It's a Jazzy's challenge. I don't know. You get
Jazzy got to tell us what happens if they tie.
What happens in tie?
Yeah. What if
Good
they
question.
both like hit one? But yeah,
both of them hit none.
Right.
It's possible.
Yeah, I'm gonna go Flanagan in this one.
All right.
Okay. Justin Crumpton, CBS has Auburn #1 seed in the Midwest bracket, includes Texas Tech, Tennessee, LSU, and Wisconsin.
CBS has been pretty high on Auburn all season.
Yeah, that's a tough bracket, though.
So in there,
It is.
That's a terrible. Yeah, I don't
Texas
like that
Tech, Tennessee, and LSU.
LSU is not good. First of all, Wisconsin independent.
I mean, they're not good now that their point guard is down. If I don't
go
know
down again, he had been back.
Yeah, he just got back. That's what I'm saying. Like, if he gets back into playing shape before the end of the season,
that's a tough bracket.
Yeah,
that's a real tough bracket.
Okay. LSU had hype similar to Bama this year. People expected to be. I haven't seen excellence from LSU. There are a few teams that look scarier to LSU than me than LSU has. Arkansas looks scarier. Texas A&M looks scary for a while. They kind of back. Texas Tech looks scarier. Texas Tech, that's a big.
Texas Tech alone is like, dang, that's a tough one.
But I mean, if again, you know how I feel about the tournament. If we're saying we're the best team, then we should be able to beat anybody. So, I mean, but yeah, LSU's doesn't scare me, and we'll see how I feel about Tennessee after we get there. They're playing more consistent than they were earlier in the season.
They're playing better. They're playing better.
For sure, but we'll see. We'll see.
All right, let's see what else we got down here before we get to
Wisconsin is a solid 2 seed.
Imani Smoot says they better not fire Harson. That's all I'm going to say about. Let's see. How you pronounce her name?
Crochet.
I don't remember. It's not important. Yeah,
I want her. Wow. Okay. All right.
Imani, one man feels.
Okay.
A woman's worth is.
Tell us how you. Yeah. Shoot your shot. What can be done to expose the actual specific people who are behind pushing Harson out? Who can get the facts? Is the press scared of them too?
Yeah. Listen, the courts will get the truth. Yeah. And if we're hearing the truth, it's because Harson was terminated for cause, and he has zero reason. Like, I hear everybody saying, they're pushing for a settlement. Guys, Brian Harson if he has done nothing, a settlement is a tepid admission of guilt. He has no incentive to settle. None. Zero. Right? So if they're going to try, like, if they fire him for cause, he's got to fight it. Right? Because you signed a contract and we need to honor that contract. Yeah. And if they're saying they have cause, they should have to go through the strictest burden of proof to prove that they have cause. Mm-hmm. And I'm telling you, like, it sounds like a lot of subjective. I've heard everything from their text messages between this person and that person. And it just feels like if they had a solid case, this would be done already.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Like, they would not be dragging this out. There are a lot of people who feel like this is a done deal. The powers that be, I know that JG wrote on his site. Shout out to JG that you know, the people who are solidified that want Harson out. And you know, it's just about how they put this case together without exposing themselves.
Right.
And I just don't see it. I just don't see it. So I feel like for the good of the university, the truth needs to come out about how this went down. The optics of everything was bad. Waiting until he goes on vacation, right?
Yeah.
And then getting mad when he won't come back from his vacation. Like you didn't suddenly come to some epiphany after I went on vacation. So that's crap. No, I'm not coming back. It can wait until I get back.
Right.
Right.
And just, you know, it was just they're treating him like a non-person, and I don't like it. I don't like any of this. So court, right? If he is not our coach in 2022, court is the only thing that gets this all out and open.
Right. I got a question for you about that too, Mike G. Is it a stretch to think Flanagan can return to last season's offensive form by the end of the
That's
month?
a great question.
Beginning of March. By the way, in case you haven't noticed or did not know, Virginia double dribble.
No.
Is it a stretch to think that? There's no signs indicating that he will. I will say he has been more aggressive in the last couple of games in attempting to look for a shot. He just hasn't been under control yet. So again, the flow and the fluidity of his game isn't there. Last season feels like an anomaly. I'm going to be honest, because, you know, I watched him the year before and he looked like this. So it's like, did he just have a really good year, or had he gotten that much better and he's regressed because of an injury? I don't know the answer to that. What I do know is that Flanagan is still valuable to this team because of his athleticism, his ability to guard, and the threat that he poses, right? Whether he's making shots or not, him with the ball in his hands is more of a threat than Devin Cambridge with the ball in his hands at the off guard.
That's a fact. Yep.
Because as much as athletic as Devin Cambridge is, he don't have a first clue what to do.
He's not going to create. Yeah, he's not going to create his own shot. Right.
If it's not an alley-oop or a putback off an offensive rebound, he don't have a first clue what to do with the basketball. Right. It's got to be catch and shoot or one dribble and shoot with him. Flanagan can at least get to the rim and make baskets. And, you know what I'm saying? He did that a couple of times in this game. So he's valuable to this team offensively just for the threat of being able to do that. He just has to figure out how to stop turning the ball over so much or taking poor shots because he's forcing it. Right now, it still feels like it feels as if he's having flashbacks of himself last year being the guy. And he's like, oh, yeah, I could do this. And it's like, listen, and I please don't think I'm comparing myself to Alan Flanagan. I remember the last time I was out on a basketball court and thinking to myself, oh, I used to be able to do this. And I went and tried to do something I used to be able to do. And I got ripped. And I was like, oh, that's not there no more. Like, I'm not, I ain't that guy right now. Like, it's going to take a while for me to get back to be. And it just doesn't feel the same because it's been so long since you've had to access that muscle memory, right? And he's just got to get back in. He needs to get more reps. And really, Bruce Pearl is doing the right thing. He's letting him play his way through it. Right. Go out there and play ball, because sitting him right now will never get him back there by March when we need it.
Right.
So he's got to play his way through it right now. Figure it out. You're a smart, athletic young man. Get out there and figure it out.
Yeah.
Isaac Ritchie says everyone expects us to blow out every team because we're number one. Other number one teams have lost games. When they play bad, we find ways to win. To question, we are becoming the most unliked. Are we becoming the most unliked team in the country? No.
I think our Twitter base is becoming the most unliked in the country.
Yeah, for sure.
I don't think that people hate Auburn basketball. I think that the SEC probably hates Auburn basketball, right? Because we have not been the perennial team that comes to town that everybody wants to get excited about, right? Like, that had been Kentucky forever. And it's been Florida in spaces, and it's been Tennessee in spaces, but it's never been Auburn. It was LSU for a couple of seasons. It's never been Auburn up until recently. And as you start to win more, people dislike you more because it's like, why they got to keep winning? And then your fans get more arrogant about the fact that you keep winning, and then they become insufferable. And it just becomes this, constant thing of like, you rarely dislike the team because of the team, because those guys are going to be gone in a couple of seasons. It's not going to be the same cast of characters. You dislike the team because of the fans that support them.
Mhm.
So yes, Auburn's Twitter fan base is becoming the least liked in the country for sure, without a doubt. And we're really good at making people upset.
I will tell you though, a lot of people hate the joy that we have over basketball right now, because the whole act like you've been there before thing is one of the stupidest mantras in sports, I think. But like,
fans don't have to do that. I don't have to act like
right. It's dumb. I've never stepped on a collegiate basketball court. I played at the student activity center with Brian a couple times, but that's about it. And I just think the more you win, right, like there are questions about whether us winning, whether we're legit. There's still questions about whether we're legit because we're not one of these traditional, blue bloods, which Bruce Pearl said we'll never be. So I think if you just contrast us to schools that are closer to that blue blood status, just real simple. You can't look at our schedule and say that our schedule is soft. Our schedule is not soft. And look at the games that we've won. You're going to get a run from some teams that don't have great records or have mediocre records. Right. Other team, I will just point back to other teams in the top 10 are losing those games, and Auburn has been winning them.
Yeah.
So questioning us over stacking W's is one of the most ridiculous things when you look at Gonzaga, right, who lost to a team that we ran off the court.
Yeah.
And beat at their home court.
And be in their home court. You practically had a home game against them on your coast. They traveled across the country and they beat you. And that's not to say that Gonzaga is not good. I'm just saying it doesn't feel like a lot of people are questioning them over their losses.
Right.
Baylor, give me a break. They lost to that same team as well, too. Duke, everybody's got ugly losses.
I think that's the unfair thing. People question our legitimacy at number one for winning against teams that we shouldn't be close to, but don't question other teams' legitimacy at number one for losing. To teams that they shouldn't lose to.
Yeah.
There's no feasible reason why Bama should have beat both Baylor and Gonzaga, and that same Bama team has the losses that they have on their schedule.
Right.
But nobody's questioning whether Gonzaga is the best team in the country. We haven't lost a game that we were supposed to win.
But you understand what that is. I mean, that's just the bias they have from teams that have shown success in the past. And while Auburn is new to the party, they're not going to get the benefit of the doubt that those teams have gotten because they've seen them play at a high level and win at a high level. Auburn has yet to do that, so we're still skeptical on whether or not they're for real, which isn't fair because we're talking about this season, right? That's the only thing you can judge them on is this season, but previous bias seeps in with these teams based on what has happened in prior seasons.
Yeah. And that's the downside to the media getting a hand in rankings is writers write from a historical perspective, how they feel about the coach, what they saw the coach do last year, how this player did. All of Bama's hype was based on, oh, we like that player. The same coach is coming back. Didn't they make a run? Oh, is that player coming back? Here's what we like and expect based on what happened last year. Every year is completely brand new. And it shouldn't have a hand in what you expect to happen this year. But we know it gets to get decided on the court. That's the good thing. It gets to get decided on the court. So at least we got that.
Yep, that's it.
Jazzy says the tiebreaker is y'all pick which one of them scores more. I think
plenty.
Yeah.
Thanks, Jazzy.
If there's a tie, right? Like
there's a tie.
If it's a tie, it's a tie.
Flanagan ends up not hitting any threes and Cambridge hits to the game, it doesn't matter, right?
Yeah,
so,
I got to tell you, there was a play during the game. You probably remember this, where Flanagan pump faked a three and then drove to the basket and had a wide open lane. And
very nice.
I thought he was going to yoke the hell out of that ball. I in my mind, I went forward a time like 2 seconds, and I just imagined him just cocking back and just dunking that thing. And it was a pretty looking layup. But I thought he had good spring in his step. But there was a part of me that also felt like
remembers that last game where he tried to yoke it and he got
right, yeah.
Like, nah, let me just go get this bucket, bro.
Right, Grant Hill drink Sprite. I thought for a second though, I was like, maybe when you're going up to dunk, you explode off, whatever your jump foot is. I just thought your plant foot is. I just thought maybe he's a trust. Yeah, he didn't trust it enough to jump how he would have needed to yoke that ball. It just looked a little careful to me, right? So it was a good move, and I was just like, where is this playing again? Like, can we just see some more of this? It was a great pump fake, man. He had to do way up in space on the jump, and just easy left hand. I forget he's left-handed sometimes, but easy left-handed layup.
And to be real with you, that play is there a lot for him. So the way we space the floor, like he can easily get to the basket like that. So I'm curious to see if he does more of that.
He's had some pretty backside lobs to Kessler as well too in a few of these games where he's throwing it up.
He's
for
just
Kessler.
better with the ball in his hand overall. Like it's clear why he's the starting two guard. But I mean, again, if he figures it out, man. Trouble. Golly, trouble. Like, it's just there's just no weakness on the team at that point in time. Like the only weakness is if we go into one of those shooting slumps and we keep forcing bad shots because there's literally no place you can go and not get a bucket.
Right. And you mentioned him developing a mid-range game as well. Like that would be dangerous. That would be dangerous for him. Alabama Prep, appreciate you, buddy. I think Harson is instilling some discipline to the program, and a lot of folks, powers that be, and some players are not happy with that. Of course, that's been. I mean, of course, it's not. It's being spun as him alienating players or him alienating coaches, right? And again, we've alluded to some of that. We don't know. We really don't know because it's kind of a he said, she said about their perspective about how they perceive it to be. You got the same other players coming in saying, no, Harson is being a really good coach.
Did y'all see Tony Fair's statement on this?
Yeah.
Yes.
Right. He was effusive in his defense for Harson. Right. And I just think it's funny that you can have some players say the things that they're saying and then other players come out like polar opposite.
Yeah, listen, I mean, the truth resides somewhere in the middle, right? Like there's definitely things that need to be worked on. My point in all this, like, I don't really care what anybody is saying about any of this. None of what they're saying is a fireable offense. So why are we still having this conversation? Right. Like,
Thanks.
You can't fire somebody because players didn't like how they coached them. Like, he ain't locking people's kids up in dungeons. No, like, shut up, man. Come on, bro. Like, what are you doing?
There are definitely some learnings here. If for some reason he stays on, I think there's some learnings for him in terms of just relationships and, how things run at a major program. Right. I will say that's the little bit of constructive criticism I have for them is that I just think there are some things they could have embraced quicker, right? Rather than, because you do have to, you want the system to conform to your philosophy, but there are some things you have to conform to as well too. And I think maybe they didn't do a good job conforming to some of the things that are necessary to be the head coach at Auburn University.
And I think that is the hope that we had, that Harson would learn the lay of the land and adapt. And it kind of hurts to be in a place like Boise where you've done something a certain way for so long and it's worked this way. Even people who've come before you have run the program a certain way for so long and it's worked to where you think, okay, I have my way of doing it. But again, the playing ground has changed. Again, you see this happen a lot in basketball during the Olympics when they play basketball. And some of the Olympic rules changes in a way how you play the game, right? You play the game a certain way in the NBA, but there are certain rules changes and things that happens that affect how you play it at the Olympic level. And I think some of the rules have changed in terms of how to coach at a major program in the SEC. Harson knows how to run a program, but there's some things in terms of reaching out to high school coaches, playing the politic game, shaking hands, making those are the different rules that can hurt you in the long run, especially if you have a not so good first season.
Yeah, that's it's just a different landscape. So I feel comfortable now that everything has come out saying one of the biggest things that we were being told is that the communication between the staff and the parents wasn't great. And I think maybe if he was running it one way in terms of parent communication at Boise, there was enough substance there for him to reevaluate that process and at least reset the expectations with the parents about communication. Right, to say, hey, I know you guys are probably used to this, and that, but here's what our plan is. And then you meet somewhere in the middle. Maybe you're organizing you're having your staff organize a parent thing, like, twice a semester or something, which would not be out. So you can have some time to just FaceTime with the parents instead of taking random meetings all over the place while you're trying to coach a team. Right. And, when you're a leader that's making the kind of money that Brian Harson is making, this is where the gatekeepers to you are really important. Now, there was an article where he took a lot of heat. There was an event, like an award ceremony in Macon, Georgia, for something
for high school coaches.
Correct. Right.
There was acknowledging some of the top high school coaches in the state.
And Kirby Smart showed up, and Josh Heupel showed up. I don't think Nick Saban was there, but there were some notable.
South Carolina's coach was there.
Yeah, there were some notable coaches that showed up, and Harson was noticeably absent, especially given his proximity to Macon. Now, do I blame Harson for that? No, but somebody on his staff has to know, hey, if you're going to miss an event, this is not the one to miss.
Yeah.
Right? You got to be there. And again, the gatekeepers to these people, right? Like, Tim Cook does not answer his own emails unless you got his personal email. But the person who is the gatekeeper to his email has to know when they see something that is important enough to forward to Tim Cook. And he can't do everything. He just needs people. Administratively, I think that's some of the learning is they probably could have done a better job understanding the landscape, the new landscape, and then reprioritizing what needs to be done and what does not need to be done anymore.
But I mean, it's his first season. You gotta expect him to have a learning curve. Like that's my whole thing. It's one season, dog. Like, why is this such a huge deal in season? If this was his fourth season and he's still making these same mistakes, then you're like, you know what? He can't do this job. But to tell him he can't do the job after one tumultuous season starts, right? It ain't like he had. It's ridiculous, bro. Like,
that's
what's the next super chat, dog?
Christian Crawford. He said, I served on the AU Board of Trustees as an ex officio board member. I was there when Jay got fired. Jay Jacobs. What the Powers want, they get. Harson will probably be fired.
Yeah, listen, let me tell you something. I have not been an ex officio board member, but my second job in college was I was an AV guy at the University Hotel and Conference Center. And when I was there, they used to have the board meetings there. So we would set up, we set up a hollow square and we put mics at every table, and then we had to record the meeting. And so after, we would sit in the AV office and then just kind of listen to the meeting because they never wanted anybody in there. The AV guy would come in, set the microphones, and then leave, hit record, and then leave. They definitely didn't want anybody listening in on certain parts of the meeting, I should say. This thing is, we heard some interesting things, and it was interesting being in that meeting and listening to them vote on like raising tuition. Right. And things that did affect students. Whenever they got to football stuff, man, it was Secret Service level security. Everybody out, nobody standing at the door. They didn't want any servers bringing in water, like none of that stuff. So I can only imagine how they're trying to lock that down now. It's nuts. But he's right. They do. Like when they're unified on something, it gets done.
Right.
Yeah. If enough people want it done, it gets done.
Yeah.
I saw that. Yeah, whatever. I saw that. Walt sent that to me, and I was just like, oh, my God. Can some people just be quiet?
Yeah, I will say that's pretty much, if tracing back head coaches going back 20 years, which is as long as I've been seriously following the program, you can pretty much see who was willing to play ball and acquiesce and who wasn't. And depending on how their tenure ended, you could tell who was what. So Chiswick was probably one of those. Yes, sir, guys. Oh, I need to get fired. Sorry, sir. I'm out of your way. Thank you, sir. I'm out of here. So, I mean, I guess that's a temporary salve if there was one, but that's not what the program needs. So,
Right.
Yikes. Okay. All right. I'm gonna spend the rest of my day recovering from that suggestion. Mike, take us out, sir.
Oh man, listen, shout out to rogueshop.com for an interesting gummy session today. Code Report, go over there, see them, please. Other than that, become a Patron member, guys. We've had an overwhelming amount of signups the last 72 hours, and we're really working hard for you guys. So I appreciate everybody who's going to sign up. Your support helps us continue to grow. And if you, I'm gonna come back off the graphic for this one. If you have been following a lot of the content that's been put out the last week, your support means a lot to us, because we're really trying to reset the standard for how information gets delivered and what topics should be inbounds and what should be out of bounds. I'm in Discords and comment sections and on other videos, just kind of reading. And I love seeing our commenters and our listeners and our patrons out there pushing the right message, right? And, calling people out for, slanderous and libelous talk on message boards, right? We are supposed to be better. We're supposed to be the Auburn family. We're supposed to be above a lot of this, right? So to the extent that you guys continue to support us, we can help galvanize fans around that message and continue to push the better aspects of the fan base, rather than letting the gossip mongers run wild with this, right? So, I've seen people say, hey, I unsubscribed to this and this and this over this reporting. I don't ever want anybody to say that about the War Report, right? So become a Patron member. We really appreciate all the support that you guys are going to give us to help us reset this in a positive way. We're partnered with the Lee County Humane Society to raise money for a good cause. So 50 cents on every dollar goes to them to help them in their mission to hashtag save all the puppies. Please help us here. I know you guys give a lot, lots of super chats coming in lately. Wouldn't mind seeing some of those go over to that GoFundMe. So you can find this link in the about section of our YouTube channel. Help us help them. Congratulations to our raffle winner today. We give something away every live stream, but if you don't win, you can just buy a Lobtown hoodie or a t-shirt. This stuff is great. It's been fun seeing how many of you guys have either purchased merch or won stuff and posted things on social media, on Twitter a lot, right? So it's the War Report gear has become game time attire for a lot of you. So I appreciate you guys tagging. Ike designs all of this, guys. So I know that he really probably loves seeing his designs out there, meaning something to the fan base. So okay, visit our merch store. You can find this link in the about section of our YouTube channel. Subscribe to us on podcasts. We're on every single podcast platform there is. So Apple, Spotify, SoundCloud, Amazon, we're everywhere. Just, go over there, leave us a review, let them know that the War Report is the place that you want to go. And also, we're a partner with Prize Picks. So this is your alternative to traditional sports stuff with money. They got we put some interesting segments out there. You can have an entry for a pretty low amount and just kind of have fun placing an entry along with Isaac. So we put a segment out every game day where Isaac kind of walks through. You don't have to do what he does, but at the end of the day, it is something fun for us to just kind of do together as a family. Support us by supporting our sponsors.
If you did do what I did, you want to use some money yesterday.
That's true. That's true. That's true. So support us by supporting our sponsors. If you use Code Report, you get 100% match right now. So 100%. You put in 50, they'll give you 50, and you'll have 100 to play with, and you can make some $10 entries along with the rest of us. And then last but not least, really want to thank our weekend tailgate sponsor, University Ace Hardware. Visit them at 2101 East University Drive in Auburn, Alabama. They're great hometown folks, man. They've been supporting us since before the season started and stuck with us through basketball season. So I really appreciate them being the weekend tailgate sponsor. David Fitchner over there at University Ace Hardware. We appreciate you, buddy. Can't wait for tournament time.
Chess asks, y'all coming back on if they pink slip Harson before Wednesday? Now you already know.
Yeah,
you can't cover the head coach.
You already know.
Yeah.
Yes, we will definitely be covering that, especially if there's some major news that comes out concerning the program. Alabama Prep with the super chat, last super chat. I appreciate it. I think it'll be cool to let us know what y'all all do for a living besides the War Report. You guys are very intelligent.
No, listen, I ain't putting my day job out there because they are not Auburn fans. I want to keep it that way because they would ask how I make so much content. And I don't want to have to answer.
I don't care. Like, y'all can know, man. I work for a software company. I do software implementation. I'm not gonna tell you what company it is. Doesn't really matter. But yeah, I work for a software.
I'm IT related.
Yeah, I do audio visual for a living. So I do technology nerd.
I want to do the War Report for a living.
Hey, there it is.
Pretty much.
Somebody asked, I said it in the chat earlier, but yes, this hat is available in the merch store. Y'all know y'all used to seeing me rock the blue joint with the white, but yeah, this is of course the dad cap. It's got the strap in the back or whatever. Hold on, I tell you, y'all don't normally show my bald head on the camera, but y'all see it today. So it's got the little joint on the back there embroidered too. You know what I'm saying? You know.
Hey.
You know.
All right, guys, listen. Y'all have been very engaged with us. We appreciate y'all hanging out with us. We were supposed to do What Did We See? But we didn't get around to that because we just want to chop it up with y'all. Y'all had some questions, things y'all want to get off your chest. And so we chopped it up with y'all. So we will try to see if we can fit in What Did We See? Maybe later on in the week. We'll see how the Wednesday Night War Room plays out. May surprise you there. But guys, if you on social media, do us a favor. You've enjoyed this video, share it on your socials, allow other people to get in on the conversation, allow us to grow our family, expose people to some great content out here. So please be sure to do that using hashtag Get Your Weight Up. Before you get out of here, get the thumbs up, hit like on this video. If you're new to the channel, if you're one of the people who found us because our community is sharing the video, hit the subscribe button, hit the notification bell so that you're alerted when we do go live and drop content. Also, if you want to interact with us on social media, we are at The War Report on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, all of that good stuff. We're at TW Report on TikTok. That's it for now, guys, but we will definitely update you as information changes with the program. But until then, enjoy the rest of your week. And as always, War Eagle.
War Eagle.
War Eagle.